Phoning a landlord. Angela is a student at university. She's looking for a room to rent. She saw an advertisement and has decided to phone the landlord.
Hello, 6785423.
Hello. I saw your advertisement for the room.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I wonder if you could give me some more information.
Yeah, well, what would you like to know?
Well, I was wondering, what's the rent?
£35 a week.
Oh, and what does that include?
The room, obviously. It's your own room, you don't have to share. It's a single room. You share the bathroom and you can use the kitchen, but there's no meals included.
Right, and what about heating?
No, you don't have to pay for that. There's central heating in all the rooms, so there's nothing extra to pay there.
Oh, lovely. And do you want the rent weekly? Is there a deposit?
You have to pay weekly on a Monday, and there's a 1-week deposit payable in advance.
Right, that sounds fair. Are there any particular house rules, that I've got to keep to?
How do you mean?
Well, like, what about guests and hours?
Oh, yeah, well, you can come and go as you want, of course, but you must pay a deposit for the front door key. That's separate from the other deposit, I'm afraid.
I see.
As for guests, they should be out by 11 o'clock. We don't like to say that, but we've had a bit too much trouble, so we have to say it.
Right. Is it quite near public transport?
Oh, yes, 5 minutes to the tube station, and the bus stop is just round the corner with buses into town every 10 minutes or so.
Lovely. Sounds very interesting. Do you think I could come and have a look at it, this evening?
Yeah, of course. I'll give you the address. Now, it's 35 Chestnut Avenue, Walton. How are you becoming?
By car?
Well, it's just by the police station and the library.
Yes, well, I know it. If I come about 8, is that
that's
all right?
fine. Could you tell me your name?
Angela Smiley.
Right, I see you around 8. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Clark, when an accident happens, the people present are much more likely to be people of the general public and not members of the medical profession.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how good are we? I mean, would you say that a little knowledge is a dangerous thing? If we're not sure what to do, is it actually best not to do anything at all?
Well, they're obviously interesting and important questions. Yes, first aid is terribly important, and, well, you can save lives if the right action is taken. I would say that 90% of first aid is common sense, and only 10% is specialist knowledge. If someone isn't breathing, you must give them artificial respiration, and I think most people know how to do that. If the person is bleeding, the bleeding must be stopped. I think these things are obvious. Medical help must, of course, be sought, and someone must decide whether the victim can be taken to hospital, or whether, given the nature of that particular accident, the victim should be left alone.
Yes. Can we talk about road accidents more specifically in a moment?
Yes.
Is there one particular kind of accident where generally we get it wrong? We follow our common sense, but it lets us down, and we do the wrong thing.
Yes. I think there are two things associated with that. On the subject of burns, for example, some people put cream or grease or butter on, and this in fact makes the burn hotter. And the other thing...
I'm sorry to interrupt. What should we do about burns, then?
Well, you need to decide, first of all, how bad it is. If it's a minor burn, the best thing to do is put the burned area under the cold tap or slowly pour on iced water.
I see.
This should be done for about 10 minutes, and it stops the heat from spreading. However, if it's a bad burn, what we call a third-degree burn, don't touch it. You really should get, for this kind of burn, expert help immediately. Cover the burn very lightly with something clean, like a sheet or a handkerchief, and then go straight to a hospital. The other thing people do is to give drinks, especially alcoholic drinks, which means that if the patient needs an operation, we can't give an anesthetic.
So it's better not to give any drinks at all?
Well, certainly not alcoholic drinks.
Ah.
If the patient complains of thirst, he should wash his mouth with water and not swallow.
That's very useful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back to road accidents. Could you give us some general advice on what to do at the scene of a car accident?
Yes. 3 things. First of all, you should check that the victims are breathing. I mean, if they're not, give artificial respiration. The most common injuries in car accidents are, in fact, fractures and bleeding. So the second thing to do is to stop the bleeding. Thirdly, very important, don't move the victim unless it's absolutely necessary. I mean, if any bones are broken, the injury could be made much worse by moving the victim. You should keep them warm, loosen any tight clothing, and try to reassure them. They'll probably be suffering from shock. So just to stay with them until expert help arrives is a very good thing to do.
I see. Now, of course, there are lots of accidents we haven't had time to talk about. But do you think it's worthwhile for the general public to find out about them and find out how they can help?
Sure, yes, I do indeed. I mean, I would advise people to find out as much as they possibly can. I mean, many of us freeze and panic when faced with a crisis. So, why not learn about basic first aid?
Dr. Clark,